Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 5.
I'm Braden.
And I'm Nolan.
And we're off.
Like a dirty shirt.
Boom. Hello.
All right, and we're back.
Yeah. So, first of all, this is episode 5. If you watched all of episode 4, you're a real one. If you didn't,
Yeah,
there's some great content in the
Exactly.
second part of that one.
that's our history. The trip was a crucial part of us becoming friends and starting this podcast.
Yeah.
And that's why it's the pilot. It all needed to be in there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we realized it might be a long episode.
It was absolutely a long episode. We're going to split it into 2. That wasn't always the plan while recording the episode, so some of it might feel a little rushed than others, but it was, I think a great episode and, like, a perfect, like, pilot type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
we will keep this episode we'll keep it moving.
Yeah.
We
So-
have a bunch of different segments. One of the requests that we've been getting is it'd be nice for a little bit of some semblance of consistency.
Yep.
And maybe something to look forward to. If there's a certain segment or a certain topic that we talk about every single time. So that got my wheels churning. And I came up with a bunch of different segments, and we will be running through most of them, if not all of them, today.
Yep.
And then we would love your guys' feedback from Muppets.
Yeah. Which ones we like, which episodes segments we like, which segments we don't like. This is going to be a very segment-heavy episode.
Mm-hmm.
We would like some engagement on this one.
Yeah.
Once again, we are in Neighbors Cafe. We got a different setup going this time. You'll be able to see some cars going behind us. There might be some emergency vehicles going past. You never know.
Yeah.
Might see some people walking by.
You say that
looking
like
in
you
the
set
window.
something up.
What? Oh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Who knows? We might have caused an emergency down the road that
Oh,
some things are going to have to go past.
No, we didn't.
We did not.
No.
Because an ambulance did just go past.
Yeah,
a
that's
little
why
bit
you're
before
thinking
we
of it.
started
Yeah.
recording. We had nothing to do with that.
But yeah, hope you enjoy the different angles and all the different stuff we're giving you.
Yep.
And next episode, we'll be in a brand new place.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll
Something
see.
to look forward to.
We don't even know where yet.
Yeah. So I hope you're looking forward to that as well and enjoying the different locations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it.
Yeah, let's get right on into it. I would just like to say, to preface this with one of the talk shows that I have really appreciated through much of my life. My dad listened to it for a little while, and more recently has been like cropping up in all my friend groups is Car Talk. So Car Talk is 2 brothers that are, very well educated and very funny, and they're also from Massachusetts.
Yes.
So they have a very funny Boston accent.
A classic Boston accent.
Yeah. So, and if you don't know the name Car Talk, you might recognize their voices. We're Click and Clack the Tapper Brothers, and don't drive like my brother.
Go drive like my brother.
Ah.
Yeah. So yeah, they voice 2 cars in the movie Cars, the ones that are like the sponsors that Lightning McQueen has at the beginning of the movie with Rusty's, and they're like the funny guys in there.
Right.
I personally have listened to the show a couple times. Like I listened to a couple of the episodes.
Yeah.
I know about it. I know some of the bits in it.
Mhm.
But I have nowhere near the knowledge of somebody who is an actual listener of it.
Yeah. If you don't know, and for people listening, if you've never listened to Car Talk, I'd recommend it. They're very funny. Even if you're not into cars. I don't know a ton about cars.
Yeah.
Like we talked about on our road trip, we barely knew what a wheel bearing was.
Right.
It's
a good, if you're not into cars, they talk about cars in a funny enough way that it's funny. And then also they are very educational. Like you could learn something.
Yeah, exactly.
So, which is great.
The premise is that, they're two guys and they take callers questions that will call in live on their radio show. And they'll say, my car's making this sound or it's doing this funny. And they'll try to diagnose it and basically give you that free service that would cost a lot of money if you were to take it to a repair shop.
Right.
And they gave advice. And then as a listener, maybe your car is going through something similar. You could follow that advice as well. But they were really good with each of the callers, and they were able to, they would always make a joke about where they're from or their name or, all in lightheartedness.
Yeah. They're two old guys with a lot of experience, and you could really, feel the experience, flow from them. It was cool.
Right. They had a series where they would, actually try to diagnose what it was, and then they would have the callers call back and see if they were right or not.
Yeah.
It's called Stump the Chumps.
Yeah.
And it was very funny.
They're cool guys.
Yeah.
One of them is dead now.
Yeah, unfortunately he passed away. I'm not quite sure which one. They went by Click and Clack. That wasn't their real names.
Right.
But yeah. The show is no longer airing new episodes. But there is a wealth of old episodes to go through.
It was a radio show.
It'll take you a long time to get through all those.
Yeah.
So.
I can already tell my neck is going to hurt a little bit from the seating position.
Oh, yeah.
I'm already getting a little bit of a crick. So
yeah,
we might be scooching around as we go.
Better posture, I don't know.
Or maybe not stare lovingly into each other's eyes like we usually do.
Yeah. So, but part of what made their show so great is they had great, listener connection, and part of that was they often, almost every episode would take. Maybe not every episode, but they would take just mail from their listeners. They would get emails and letters and all this stuff. And they would, respond to non-car related things as well. If you ever have the time, look up, sending vowels to Bosnia. Because a lot of their words seem like they don't have vowels in them. And it was funny. Someone had written up this thing, and it was like a fake news report about how the United States was responding to this humanitarian crisis by donating vowels, by the thousands to the Bosnians.
Yeah.
And it was like they were. It was funny to hear them try to pronounce these names and stuff, and they're like, puts and or can finally be called by Peter and John now that they have an excess of ease and stuff like that. And anyways, it was very funny.
That is pretty good.
Talking about all this mail from fans, we would love to receive messages from our listeners, from the viewers, whether you've listened to all of our episodes, whether you're just tuning in right now. We would love to, once an episode or maybe once a recording session, so every other episode, get to hear thoughts and opinions, things that you want us to talk about, or just something that's been really nagging at you that we can provide some clarity on.
Yeah.
Send us some mail. Probably most preferably email.
Yes.
We're not going to give you our address.
No.
I guess you have the cafe address. It's 450 North Prince Street. I guess you can send physical mail here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally won't be doing that.
Right. Yeah, so send mail here if you want to waste a stamp. And if you don't want to waste a stamp, then you can mail your mail to our email, which
electronically
we will link up here.
Yes.
Do you know what it is off the top of your head?
b&n-pod@gmail.com.
Yeah.
The letter B, the word and, the letter N, pod@gmail.com.
Yeah.
We'll put that in the description.
Exactly. Email us there with any of your thoughts, provoking questions, or things that you think would be interesting on the podcast. I will put that up on screen if I have the time.
Yep. Or the know-how.
Yeah, exactly. I know. It was before we changed to the Dirty Shirt Pod, unfortunately. So
right.
The email is old, but
yeah, that's okay. I
think
still
that's
fine.
Yep. So, but to preface this,
we low-key could just make a new YouTube account.
Yeah, we could.
Because we've only posted 3 episodes.
That's true. Anyways.
Well, we'll decide about
Yeah.
that later. Sorry.
All of our viewers.
Yeah.
To preface this new segment, I thought I would give an example. I was a later listener, so unfortunately, Car Talk was no longer in active operation when I started actively listening, and so but I still loved all the different letters and the funny quirks that they would get from their listeners. So I wrote one up, and I want to share that on today's podcast, and we can talk about it. And that will be kind of an example of the sort of mail that will generate topics for us to talk about.
Yeah, and we're not necessarily saying you got to follow this exactly.
No, yeah.
This is a fun example.
You could just send like a question or two, but yeah. Anyways, I'm pretty proud of this piece of mail that I would have sent in if they were still active.
And when did you write this?
What?
When did you write this?
This was probably like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Just jotted it down in my notes app.
Sure.
This
isn't for,
yeah. Should we have like an intro to each segment? I was like, we could do mail time.
Mail time.
Mail time.
Mail time.
Mail time. All right.
I thought we were going to go to the...
No.
That's all right. That's probably copyrighted.
Yeah.
Honestly, just doing that was probably copyrighted.
You think?
Possibly.
By who? Camp?
Mr. Blue?
Yeah.
Blue the Clues? That's what it's from. It's from
That's fun.
the Blue Clues.
We're singing, like we said with Baby No Money.
Right.
I mean, what are they going to do?
What are they gonna do?
It's our rendition of it. All right. Here is my letter. Actually, let me give you some backstory first. A lot of times they would say, we're here from Cambridge, Massachusetts, our fair city. And that was the phrase that they always said.
Right.
They kept on saying, our fair city. It was like his go-to phrase, and they would laugh about that and different things. So they would always call Cambridge, Massachusetts, our fair city.
Yes. Which makes the text from our mutual friend the other day, more context and better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Exactly.
Our friend was in their fair city recently.
And sent us a text about it because we all listen to Car
Yes.
Talk from time to time.
I'm the least knower of Car Talk between the four of us.
Yeah.
But I kind of got it.
So here's my letter with that all being said.
Yeah.
Dearest Click and Clack, I've been a loyal listener to your show for the last couple weeks and have squandered several hours of my precious youth listening in. A recent show of yours mentioned Car Talk's popularity in China and got me to thinking, a dangerous pastime of mine, that you could be alienating a large portion of your non-native English listeners with your flippant verbiage. My largest gripe is with your carefree use of the phrase, our fair city. My issue is not that I do not think that your city is fair, but rather that an illustrious multi-meaning homograph, like fair, will confuse foreigners, especially the Bosnians, and distort their perception of Cambridge, Massachusetts. Many an exchange student has come to me asking whether all incomes are the same in Cambridge and if there is free health care in your fair city. Others have asked if the people are whiter in your fair city. And worse yet are the questions about the carnival tent parties that they presume you host in your fair city. My request is that you would entertain the idea of changing this catchphrase to a more singular meaning word like neat, lest that be confused for tidy or interesting or undiluted, in which case your international presence might be doomed. I look forward to your response and hope that a solution can be found. Your fair listener, Nolan, from Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
I mean, wow.
Yeah.
That is a great... You didn't read that to me before the start of this podcast.
Yeah.
We talked about some of these segments before we got started today. But, wow.
Yep.
I'm honestly gobsmacked. I'm blown away. That was really good.
Yeah. If you've listened to Car Talk, I threw a bunch of like Easter eggs in there as well.
I was picking up on some of it.
Yeah, yeah. But I just thought it was funny. Like, homograph is a word that sounds the same as other words, but means something different. So I was like, oh, it's funny that fair has like a couple different meanings. And then it was funny that I threw neat in there.
Yeah.
I was like, because that was another word that has plenty of different meanings.
Right.
But yeah.
Man, if we get messages like that,
yeah.
I'll be.
Yeah. This took me like an hour.
Yeah.
I was like really dedicated to this.
Yeah.
If anybody knows how to, I think like the brother who's still, around I think he's doing like an editorial in a paper or something. If there's any way to get this out there to him, I would appreciate that.
Sure.
Yeah. I just think it would be funny and hopefully make his day.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That was great.
Thank you. Anyways, so yeah, please send us your mail. It doesn't have to take you an hour, but we would love to incorporate you and get you excited about listening to our next podcast because maybe you'll be a part of our next podcast.
Totally could be. And you probably will be. If you spend the time to like put something out like that, we will most likely.
Yeah. Also, in the early days of the podcast, we will probably get very minimal mail.
Right.
So there is a high chance that we will at least read or mention your mail if you send us anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that's segment number 1. If we get engagement on that. Oh.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
That's segment number 1. If we get engagement on that, we'll absolutely be doing that. Another idea that a friend of ours shared with us was that maybe just hopping on Yahoo Answers and taking random questions from the internet of random people, just going on there, seeing questions that have been asked and talking about those. We toyed around with the idea of that. So if you're interested in that, let us know, and we will do it.
You mind if we move to a new segment presented by Neighbors Cafe?
I do not.
All right. This segment we like to call Getting Hip. We are getting older, and
I've noticed that, especially at camp this summer.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely an unk / grandpa at camp.
Yeah.
When it comes to my fellow staff members and the clientele.
So I think this segment will be good for the both of us to stay young, and for you especially to be able to relate better to your campers and even your counselors. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Who knows what the young campers are talking about these days.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think the trend that I want to talk about right now is I've just started kind of seeing it crop up is holy frickin' airball.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to explain it?
Yeah, I can give it a shot. So we have been – it's came up a couple times this summer at camp already. And basically it's like when somebody misses the mark of how they think of someone. So like if you're and the way I've seen it online a lot is, so just using this as an example because I saw this one recently. Like if somebody says, so like a D1 college gymnast would say to someone, "Oh, I'm a gymnast," and the person would be like, "Oh, so you do flips and stuff?" And then the person would put a clip of them doing some insane stunt, and
Right.
with the caption, "Holy freaking airball!"
Yeah.
Like they're missing the mark or like way off. Like,
Right. Yeah.
Or like I've also seen it used like, like this person had an opportunity to like spit some game or riz someone up, but because of this like way that they've underestimated them,
Right.
it's kind of like that how they're like airball.
Right. So you've missed the mark. You squandered.
I kind of forget
opportunity
how we used it at camp the past week because it came up a couple times. But
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I first saw it, I thought it was just like, oh, I had the opportunity to like potentially go on a date or something with this like girl and like squandered it. But I don't think that's the best use of it. Like you were saying, I think generally its original intention was like somebody just like not understanding like what it was or something.
Yeah. Which is something that I've experienced, like, if you're talking about something that you know a lot about. Like, there's a lot of times where I'm talking about camp with someone, and they'll have done, like, some sort of, like, thing, a similar experience. And so they try to, like, relate to the camp experience, or, like, just even talking about something you know a lot about, and the way that somebody says something or like talks about it, you're like, oh, this guy doesn't actually understand.
Yeah, maybe like for an example from like that person from camp, maybe they're like, oh yeah, I did a camp similarly in like Connecticut or wherever, and like it was just super easy, chill. So like I'm sure here like it'll be super easy and I'll get plenty of sleep and like no problem. And then like cuts to a clip of like them like not able to control and corral their kids and just like freaking out, and it'd be like, holy freaking airball, you were wrong on that one, buddy.
Yeah. I like that. It is a fun phrase. I think it'll be it's one that's pretty specialized, I think.
Yeah.
And like it's cool to have it in the back of the tank. Ready to be called forward at a moment's notice. I think as I get older and as I try to become more of a like I don't know the word I'm looking for. Kooky is the word that's coming to mind. I don't think that's right. As I'm becoming more of a kooky guy, like, and becoming old.
Are you a kooky guy?
I don't know what that is.
I feel like everybody gets fed the same content online.
Yeah.
I've been seeing this comedian, Jay Morgan, and he does auto-tune crowd work.
Oh, yeah.
And he's always like, are you a goofy guy? Yeah. It's a lot of that. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I've seen too much of it at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen really funny clips and it was like, all right.
Yeah.
But as like I would love to be an old guy who like has a bunch of funny sayings and stuff like that. Like, this is one I'll have in the tank, but I'm like 70.
Yeah.
And it would be really funny for me to go, holy freaking airball, and my grandkids be like, what the heck are you talking about?
Yeah, because that would be so irrelevant.
Yeah. They wouldn't know it's a reference to like a thing. They'd just be like, oh.
You'll probably be the one to bring that phrase back in a generation or two.
I would love that.
In 2 generations, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, no, I don't mind the phrase. Like I said in previous podcasts, like I don't like when sometimes things just get abused and like overworked. And I think if it's a specialized phrase, then I'm okay with using it at that specialized time.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think this is going to be a phrase that gets continually misused and just thrown in because it was funny at one point, and people are like, now I'm just going to say it a lot.
Right.
And I think it won't be long before I'm like, I'm over this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I also could see this one not catching as much steam as some of the other recent ones, like Riz.
Yeah. It would be really funny if we just take that clip we just said, like, this is not catching on, I don't like it. Yeah. And then, like, 3 episodes from now, we're using it, like, all the time. And it's like, holy freaking airball. We were wrong. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, we missed the mark on that one.
Exactly.
Because this phrase is my favorite thing ever.
Boom.
Yeah.
Cut to a clip of me when I'm 70 saying holy freaking airball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that got me thinking. I was like, we get now why holy freaking airball. But I was like, what if we start a new phrase? Holy freaking swish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of completely missing the mark, you absolutely nailed it.
So when somebody does something cool,
you
go, holy freaking swish.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
I think, well, if we would do the exact opposite of airball, I guess it would be like somebody knew exactly what was going on. Yeah. They knew the context, and they played their cards right.
That's true. It would be better to use it in a niche setting like that.
Yeah.
Like, not just anytime somebody does something cool. It's more like when somebody, like, got onto something really quick, or, like, was quick on the uptake.
Yeah.
And, like added something to a conversation that they weren't necessarily a part of, or
I
holy
think,
freaking swish, dude.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was a great point.
yeah, I think,
Your references are out of control, man.
yeah, I think the best use of it would be if you were in a setting and you counteracted somebody's air ball. So let's say there's 3 people, right? And say there's 2 guys and they're talking to one cute girl and they're both pretty interested, right? And she's like, "Oh, like I say she's like a semi-professional figure skater. Like she's really really good."
All right.
And
There she is.
she's like, "Yeah, I do figure skating." And the one guy is like, "Puh, like what? Are you going to be like a Mickey Mouse ballerina on ice, you know, trying to be like the jokey, like
Sarcastic.
mean flirty,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?" And then the other guy's like, "No, like people are like really talented that do that, and like it's super hard. You wouldn't even believe, like my great aunt like used to do that, and like she had to work out and like do stuff more than like even football players that I know."
Boom.
And then like the girl then feels super validated and
Yeah.
like super like this guy is like actually considerate and knows what's up.
So she
Holy
might say,
freaking swish. Boom.
Boom.
I think that would be the perfect scenario.
that would be really funny.
And honestly, I would love to strive to be a person that would make people feel comfortable and seen.
Yeah. And it's like, it's funny because it's like, you have to know a lot. Like you'd have to know what holy freaking airball is.
Yeah.
And you'd have to know that an airball is a term for basketball when you completely miss the basket.
Yeah.
And then a swish is a good one of those. Or like when you make a shot and it perfectly goes in, it's a swish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think the other thing that we could use it for is like I don't know if you want me to use this or not. We can cut it if you want. But like you were talking to a lady at one point and you were like, "She's out of my league, man."
Yeah.
This and that, whatever. And you ended up not really like
Right.
sending it and whatever. But anyways.
we can use that. I'm
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
fine with
yeah.
that.
You're fully healed from that experience.
well.
Yeah. But no, there was a great high quality lady
Yes.
that some
I
people
was
would
talking to.
consider out of Braden's league.
I would consider that.
And Braden sure did.
Yeah.
He compared her a lot of times to the hot lifeguard from The Sandlot.
I did. I'm fine with that being out there.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I did do that.
Yeah.
And I stand by that.
Right.
Um,
And so I'm like, just to finish my thought on this, and we can go into that if you want.
no, we don't need to go all the way into that.
I was like, if somebody perchance like that would just pull somebody out of their league, that could be an instance where you just say, "Holy freaking swish."
Freaking swish.
And it's not the perfect use of it in
Yeah.
the niche setting, but it's not a bad use of it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I think that's a phrase that totally could be used. And I would honestly venture to say I wouldn't be surprised if that starts to come around. Like if
Yeah.
holy freaking airball catches on even more,
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if soon after it would be holy freaking swish.
Yeah.
Just from the general like public.
Right.
Because
So we need to
oftentimes
post this so
yeah.
that people know we thought of this
we
first.
thought of it first.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's already out there.
Yeah. I didn't see this anywhere, but
Yeah, I haven't either.
yeah.
And yeah, I would not be surprised. Yeah, if just the general conscious kind of came up with
Yeah.
that concept.
I would be really sad if it comes up and it's like the phrase is like "holy freaking half court" or something like
yeah.
that.
It's
You know what I
close,
mean?
but
Like
it's
it's
not.
close, but I'd be like,
Yeah. Dang it.
my swish is better.
Yeah, I like swish.
One instance this happened was in friend groups. Sometimes when somebody says something sus, people will say pause,
Yeah.
and I started saying play.
Resume. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like play.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah.
And it was funny and like whatever for a while. And then I saw the interview with Jack Harlow, and somebody was like, "Hey, yo, pause," and he was like, "Resume." And I was like, "Oh, it's so
Dagger.
much better. It's
Yeah.
my joke, but so much better."
Yeah.
And he just delivered it in a perfect way.
He's a slick guy.
Jack Harlow, come on the podcast.
Come on the
Man.
podcast, Jack
Man.
Harlow. That would be insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying with that for
Right.
sure. And
Oh.
even like in friend groups, sometimes they
Yeah.
they oftentimes will have their own sayings and stuff. So maybe in this segment in the future, we can talk about ones that are just within our friend group that we use a lot.
Yeah.
The
true.
one that comes to mind is "you boy,"
Yeah.
which we say a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other instance that I can see this working is just real quickly to remove ourselves from segments and talk about current events.
Sure.
Currently, Game 4 of the
2025 NBA Finals.
just happened.
Last night.
Oklahoma City
Thunder.
beat the Indiana Pacers
In a barn burner of a
very
game.
close game.
Yeah.
To now tie the series 2-2.
A Scott Foster classic.
Yeah.
He had 22 fouls given, 2 techs given, and 2 what was the other one? Oh, flagrants called.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, a lot of and just poor free throw shooting from
Yes.
the Pacers at the end, which was very sad to see.
Yes.
It would have been a lot closer had they made a couple free throws.
Yes, it would have
but
been a much more exciting
That's
game.
a lot of pressure. I know he's like an 81, 89% free throw shooter and just missed like 4 in a row.
The particular player on the Pacers that had 4 free throws like in the last
or did he
minute.
make one of them? I don't know. Anyways, he missed a lot.
He missed he made the last one out of those 4.
Yeah.
But yeah,
at that
it
point
absolutely
it felt a little hopeless.
Right.
Anyways. But anyways.
And it's crazy because the Pacers so far this postseason have won a bunch of games in the last minute.
Yeah.
And then they seem to cough this one up.
And it's a very scrappy team that has been discounted since the beginning of the playoffs.
Right.
They had a hard road to get here. And a lot of people were like, oh, it's only because of injuries or it's only because of just luck that they've beat these other teams. And Tyrese Halliburton's the most overrated player in the league.
Which
if they were to win.
Was voted by his peers.
Yeah.
Other NBA players voted that, which is insane.
I think if the Pacers win and if Tyrese Halliburton is the finals MVP, which if they win, he probably will be because he's playing very well.
Yeah.
I think that's the perfect opportunity for a holy frickin' swish.
Boom.
In the literal sense because they are all basketball players.
Yep. I think that's a great use. I think the Pacers Thunder series is going to be electric. I do, as much as I want the Pacers to win just because they're really moving me right now, I do think that the Thunder will win the series after their win last night.
Yeah, now they have home court advantage.
Mm-hmm.
They have two more games. Well, one game at home, then the Pacers in Indiana, then another game in Oklahoma City.
I think it will be Pacers in 7. Thunder in 7.
Yeah.
As much as I would have loved it to be Pacers in 6 if they won last night.
Yeah.
That was going to be my guess. Which, last night before the game I said, if the Pacers win tonight, I think they'll win the series in 6.
Mm-hmm.
If the Thunder win tonight, I think they'll win the series in 7. And then my buddy was like, yeah, that was the exact take of Stephen A. And I was like, crap. Because Stephen A. has not been known for having the best basketball takes.
Right.
And also that mean that I was completely unoriginal.
Yeah. Well, there's only so many takes you could have. There's
That's
only
true.
so many possibilities that would happen with that many games.
That's true.
Especially with home court advantage.
Yeah. So by the time you're listening to this episode, you will know if I was correct or not.
Yeah. And I will probably post something on Instagram about holy freaking swish if the Pacers win. So
it would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy freaking swish.
Nice. Yeah. Do you want to go from the new generation to the old generation?
Let's
do you
do it.
mind? Do you mind if we move on? Can we go to a new segment?
I would.
Presented by Neighbors Cafe. This new segment I would like to call Brit Lit.
Boom.
If we haven't gone to college, but I've heard from the people that have, even some people have it in high school. Brit Lit, British literature, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've talked before about how we like the meaning of different words, meaning of different phrases, and how a lot of that comes from Shakespeare and old-timey British literature. So I will go through. I have 3 here. I mean, we don't have to do all 3, but they're very fun to talk about. So the first one that I have is a wild goose chase, right? Do you want to explain to the audience what a wild goose chase means in today's language?
Absolutely, I can. A wild goose chase is when you as an individual are trying to complete a task, but there's something else that comes up that takes you on a wild goose chase, meaning you get off on a tangent or some sort of like you have to go do something else before you can get back to your main task. So you'll often heard it referred to as a side quest or a which is comes from video games or a red herring of some sort. Is
I was
also
just
similar.
thinking about that. I was like,
I bet red herring is
I want to
also-
know where that comes
yeah,
from.
Yep.
Yeah. So the definition I kind of got when I looked it up and what I thought about was like a hopeless and a fruitless search or a task. And like you said, often something that someone has intentionally led you on to lead you in the wrong direction. Often.
He sent me on a wild goose chase.
Yeah. I mean, not always. Sometimes it's
Right.
just like,
Oh, I got caught in a wild goose chase.
yeah. Do you want to take a guess at where this comes from, or you just want me to tell you?
Yeah, let me
Quick guess.
think about it for a second.
Yeah.
Wild goose chase.
What's your natural instinct?
Well, since this is Brit lit and we're talking about Shakespeare,
Sure.
my guess is that there was a character in one of the plays that was trying to do had a goal, and there was a goose that he was chasing that was the incorrect goose, or he was looking for a tame goose, and he had ended up chasing a wild goose.
The golden goose of the
Yeah.
bean in the jackstock.
Yes.
Um,
the jackstock.
Right.
Jack and beanstalk.
Yeah. Fly in the hole. Yeah. So actually, I will caveat a lot of these phrases were popularized and turned into modern slang by the use from Shakespeare, but their origins aren't just by Shakespeare.
Got it.
So, but yeah, if you for future guesses, but no, I liked your guess. The history is there was a type of race in the 16th century
Holy
in England.
airball on my guess.
Yeah. Right. You're mixing the old with the new, man. You're putting old wine in new wineskins, buddy.
My bad.
You're gonna bust them. It was a type of race in the 16th century in England where riders would follow a lead horse that was on an unpredictable course.
Okay.
Right? So, like, usually they would have tracks and they would know the course ahead of time. In this race, they didn't know the course until they were following the lead horse. All right? So I guess, like, if you were, like, doing a car race,
Yeah.
it would just be, like, you would have to follow the pace car.
Right.
But I guess it would be far enough ahead that you wouldn't have to worry about, like, running into it. I don't know exactly how this worked.
Do you want me to check
they-
that real quick?
I think it's the espresso machine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so they named this race a wild goose chase after how that they saw wild geese would often follow their leaders in flight patterns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. I know
So-
exactly what you mean.
Exactly. So it was just the kind of the concept of like, oh, this animal is
Oh.
following this.
Okay, so
and it
that
seems-
type of race was called a wild goose chase.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. No geese involved. It was
Right.
a horse race that was named after
Okay.
geese that were following each other in flight patterns.
That is awesome. That's really interesting because
Yeah.
that means somebody like came up with that style of race.
Mhm.
Okay, what are we gonna call this?
Yeah.
Okay, what else follows? That's a great name for that type of race.
Right.
A
Yeah.
wild goose chase. That's cool.
Yeah. And then Shakespeare used it in Romeo and Juliet in the 1590s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you know where in Romeo and Juliet?
No, I have the context of the other sayings, but not of this one, unfortunately.
That's right.
But I think he used it in the context of obviously
The
being,
way we use it
being
now.
led led astray.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. The next phrase that I have is break the ice. How would you describe this? How we
Yeah.
use it today?
So breaking the ice is when you're meeting someone new or you're in a new relationship. Well, I guess, yeah, that means the same thing. And you are or you're like in a new group of people, like there's a group of people, and everybody's kind of awkward at first, but somebody does something or says something to break the ice, meaning make everyone around comfortable and kind of get everyone acclimated to each other.
Yeah. No, that's pretty good. I just had doing something to remove initial social awkwardness.
Yeah.
In a setting, especially around meeting new people or being in a new group of people you're unfamiliar with. So the original phrase was from this old writer that I guess predated Shakespeare, I guess. But the original phrase was break the ice of the enterprise. And that phrase meant to overcome like barriers to entry or to be the first to initiate a really difficult and daunting task. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it didn't say specifically, and I didn't read this book of this writer who was using this phrase, but break the ice of the enterprise makes sense to me of like, okay, there's like this big business or there's this thing that nobody knows. There's this enterprise, this objective. Nobody really knows how to do it. And you were the first one to like break into it and do this difficult task.
Yeah. It's kind of like the phrase glass ceiling, it seems like.
Right.
Or like breaking the glass ceiling, which I've heard used in terms of like women in a corporate setting.
Yeah.
How like in theory, now they're starting to break that glass ceiling where women are more accepted in corporate settings.
Yeah.
Which I have a friend who is a woman in a corporate setting, and I think she would argue that it's still very much the case of like a patriarchy.
Yeah.
That is
thanks
where
to Harrison Butker.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. That is where the term glass ceiling is used, I think.
Right.
I've also heard it used in other situations.
Yeah.
So it seems like it was originally similar to that, but I would definitely say that it's not used like that now.
Right. Yeah. And so then the fun thing is, so Shakespeare, he really did change how this phrase was used.
Yeah.
So in Shakespeare's The Taming of the Shrew, there is this character named Tranio. I'm probably not pronouncing that correct. Tranio. And he suggests that by getting to know Catherine's father, Catherine is the girl that he liked, that he wanted to woo over.
Okay.
By getting to know Catherine's father first, it will break the ice. It'll, shatter this very difficult thing to do. It'll break the ice and make it easier to win her over.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And thus a new phrase is born.
Right. So.
And a new use of an old phrase.
Right. Well, it's funny because Shakespeare was using the definition that people knew at the time of breaking barriers into a very difficult and a very almost seemingly impossible scenario, right? Where Tranio is like, I'm never going to be able to win Catherine over. I'm never going to be able to do that. But if I get to know her father, then that might break the ice and make it possible for me to overcome this insurmountable task and win her over. Yeah. So I hope it worked out well for him. I have not read The Taming of the Shrew.
Yeah, I haven't either.
So I don't know.
Yeah. And, it's interesting that while using it in a way that was different, it now means something different.
Right. Because he was using it in the play in a social setting.
Right.
But I guess it's very funny because it was almost like a hyperbole of like, this is impossible to win this girl over. It'll never happen. I would have to break barriers I would have to break the ice of the enterprise to get this girl. And it's funny that it's like, because he did it in a social setting, people are like, I want to use it how Shakespeare used it.
Right. And now you, like, saying breaking the ice is not nearly associated with something that would be a hard task.
Yeah.
It's more just something that needs to be done, I would say.
It is a little bit difficult. It's uncomfortable and awkward. Sure. So I guess there is some truth to that, but I would have never thought of that before.
Right.
All right. The last phrase that I have for today for our British literature lesson is in a pickle.
I love this term.
Go for it.
So I would use in a pickle as like in a hard spot or a tough spot. Like there is like a situation where you have a predicament that's like not going your way and you have to make some sort of choice. And like yeah, my favorite use of in a pickle would be
Baseball?
Yeah, in baseball when you're in a rundown, where like you as the base runner are caught in between, we'll say second and third base, or although it could be between any of the bases, and second and third base, and they have the ball behind you, so you could run to third base, but then they could just throw it to the third baseman. So if you run there and he throws it, then you turn around and run back, and he can just throw it back to the second baseman.
Yeah.
So they in the movie The Sandlot, is the first
Which
time,
I know you're a fan of.
Yes, I'm a huge fan of the movie The Sandlot.
Yeah.
This is the first time I heard it being called a pickle, because the one character, Benny the Jet Rodriguez, gets caught in a pickle, and Ham, the big Hambino, yells out, "Pickle!" And then they're all like, "Come on, Benny, blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
And then he scores in the pickle.
Boom.
Because Benny the Jet Rodriguez is fast and is good at getting out of pickles.
Hey, yo.
So.
Yeah. Why is it called pickleball also?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's with that?
Yeah, what's with that?
Anyways, I would love to hear your guess because I think this is a fun one for in a pickle.
Well,
what's its origin?
My guess before it being part of the Brit Lit segment would be that it came from baseball and being in a tough spot. Why baseball started using it? No idea.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they used to sell pickles at the stadium and people would throw pickles into the crowd when they got into a rundown.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
holy air ball.
That's a good guess, buddy. No. I was pretty confident. I was like, if you're in a pickle, pickles have to be jarred, right?
Yeah.
And they have to be like not fermented, but they have to be pickled, right?
Yeah.
They have to be soaked and sealed in an airtight jar.
Yes.
In vinegar, salt.
For those of you who don't know, pickles previously were cucumbers.
Yeah,
before
right.
they went through the pickling process.
I know, it's crazy that people don't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people don't know that.
For those of you that don't know, a pickle it's like depends what brand you get and whatever, but
what type of pickle?
They're
There's
green,
many different types.
typically, a little bumpy.
Depending on the type.
And they come in different flavors, sweet, salty, bread and butter. Yeah. Right.
Another thing, sorry, this is another tangent.
Sure.
Like, cucumbers being made into pickles, they're just called pickles. But you can also pickle, like, other things. Like then you'd have, like, pickled something else.
I think pickles are so...
Is that because the cucumber being pickled was the first one to be pickled, so it's the original pickle? And then people found out, I can pickle this other stuff as well.
Maybe. I think people were calling... I don't think there was a term for it. I think they were just like, do you want pickled radish? Do you want pickled cucumber? Do you want pickled this, that? I'm like, it's probably the first one to become popular. And I'm like, cucumbers are so bland in taste, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think they absorb the vinegar and everything that you put in it so well that I do think they are one of the best pickled items. But then again, I have been getting into a lot of other pickled items recently. I mean, even like cabbage and like kimchi and all those things is very fun.
I'll caveat this and say I am not a big fan of pickled items.
Okay.
I've never been a real big pickle guy.
Yeah.
Recently, I've started, like, if it comes on a sandwich, I'll leave it on the sandwich.
Okay.
I will not eat a pickle if it comes out with a burger. I'll give it to somebody.
Yeah, that's a lot of pickle in your face. I like dill. I don't love dill. I know people that love dill. My wife loves dill. Yeah. It makes me jealous of dill. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, I love pickled onions, red onions. Okay. I will eat them straight up.
Yeah.
They're fantastic. Anyways, so being a pickle, being in like a difficult situation, a difficult spot. In 17th century England, the term pickled often referred to being drunk or intoxicated.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
But they're like, this guy over here is pickled. Feels
Yeah.
like slang, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So was that
Bloody goodness, he's pickled. He's being a pickle on the side of the road.
so is that before or after the fermenting of cucumbers was called being pickled?
You know what? I can't tell you that, but you should look it up while I explain how Shakespeare used it. It's not that long of an explanation, so you got to be fast with this. In Shakespeare's The Tempest, another one I haven't read, in a pickle is referring to someone being drunk. But I guess he said it in a way, I'm guessing, and again, I might be a little out of context here, but I'm guessing that he was that this person was being drunk and that put them in a difficult spot because he was the one that popularized the phrase and is the one that makes us use it as we do now. Thank you, Shakespeare.
Yeah. So it seems to me this is the AI overview from Google. Now the
Thank you,
third
Al.
time. Yeah.
The Al overview.
Yes. The word pickle as a term for preserved food in brine or vinegar dates back to the 1400s, according to Wikipedia. It originated from the Middle English word pikel, or pikel, P-I-K-E-L, which referred to a spicy sauce, and ultimately from the Dutch or German peckel, meaning brine. So it seems like it came from brine, which is what they used to be pickled in.
Yeah.
Or
So I don't
that
know
you could
how
pickle it
in the
instead of
world they
vinegar.
started calling drunk people being in a pickle
Yeah.
or being pickled.
Or pickled, yeah.
But I mean, like, I guess it kind of makes sense. It gives off drunk vibes.
Yeah, and
But-
you have to ferment stuff to get.
Right. I
Drunk.
don't know if it's necessarily fermenting.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, it's not.
I mean, kimchi is,
Sure.
I think. So.
Anywho,
Anyways. Let's move on, shall we? Can we?
we shall.
I have a new segment for you. And it's from our sponsor, Neighbors Cafe.
All right, let's hear it.
This new segment I would like to call Over Under. All right. So the concept of over under, it's a betting term where you take the higher or the lower of a prop. Any proposition of, like, I think, Tyrese Halliburton is going to score 31.5 points. And usually it's at a half. So that way, if he scores 32, the over hits because he scored over the amount of points that the line was set at, and under if he scores 31 or less.
Because you can't score a half point.
Yeah,
in basketball.
you can't score a half point in basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no crying in basketball.
Right. This is also like, I only would say, I don't know about recently, but probably within the last year or 2 years, understood what an over-under meant.
Yeah, I
For
always
a long
thought
time,
it
I
was
had
the
a hard time.
childhood game where you just pass the ball over and
yeah.
under.
I could not understand what this meant for a long time.
Yeah, and it's simple when you finally understand.
Right.
But
You're like, oh, I get it.
yeah. So I was thinking there is potential for this segment, if there is interest, to get the community, the listeners involved by having different props and different bets on what is going to happen in an episode. For example, one time our friend group came all together and we called ahead at McDonald's and we ordered 200 chicken nuggets from a McDonald's all at once.
Boom.
Yeah.
Bet you and your friends never did that.
Yeah, we're cooler than you. And and part of this was because there were a couple big old boys, this one to my right for sure, that wanted to see how far he could push the limits and how many
Of myself,
how many chicken nuggets he could consume on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
And so,
Actually, I had eaten dinner that night.
oh wow, that
Yeah.
makes it more impressive.
Yes.
So you had eaten
45.
wow
Are you kidding me?
45 chicken nuggets, which if you don't think that sounds impressive, then try
Holy
it.
freaking swish.
Yeah. If you don't think it sounds
No.
impressive.
Holy freaking swish. That guy ate 45 chicken nuggets.
Oh, I was going to say, if you don't think
Right.
that's impressive.
If you don't think that's impressive, holy freaking airball.
Right. Someone's like, oh, you ate a couple chicken nuggets?
Yeah.
Big whoop. Holy freaking airball. I'd
Boom.
like to see you eat 45 chicken nuggets in one sitting, buddy. Yeah, I wasn't pushing myself. I had also eaten beforehand. I think I probably had 25 or something, just a comfortable number to fill me up. But, for example, maybe we do a chicken nugget episode, and it's like combined, the over-under is set at 90.
Oh, I was going to say 60.
Combined?
Can you do 45?
I could do 30.
If we do 90, that would mean I have to eat 60.
No, I'm just saying, we would get over 60. That would totally hit.
You're right.
60 would hit.
Yes, 60
The
would hit.
over. Anyways, but we could have
Anywho.
things like that.
Yeah. Where we
be like,
say,
how many chicken nuggets will we eat? Will it be over under this?
Yeah.
Or, for example, we do a trivia night. How many questions will we each get correct?
mm-hmm.
Over under.
Yeah. And then, so in theory, we would set the line or set the prop in the episode before, and then we'd say, in the next episode, do you think Braden will eat more or less than 45 and a half chicken nuggets?
Yeah.
And then you would vote on the poll, and then that we do in YouTube or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next episode, you find out if you're correct or not.
Yeah. And ideally, let us know if you know of anything that exists like this. There would be some sort of scoreboard where we could see either who has the longest streak of correct answers.
Yeah.
Or even potentially if you could put, dirty shirt pod points,
Yeah.
fictitious money.
We
on
could probably create a website.
different lines. Yeah.
Because, making websites is not that hard these days, I think.
Right.
And, we have some friends who are programmers, so we might be able to finagle
Right.
something.
So this might be way in the future, but if
Yeah.
that is super duper interesting to you and you want to be atop the leaderboard with all of your dirty shirt pod points,
Yeah.
then we would love to do that. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah, we could also probably post our episodes on that website, and then probably be able to, you get points for the amount of watch time you have in watching episodes,
Yeah.
and then
wow.
you could bet those points in the props for
yeah. And then we could
episodes.
shout out the top 3 people with the most points.
Yeah.
So that means they're watching a lot and they're hitting all the props.
Yeah, and they could we'd be able to tell if you you couldn't be able to vote on an episode or put a bet on something if you've already seen the episode.
Yeah.
Although then we'd have to only post it
Right.
to that place. So
Yeah. I don't know.
It'd be weird.
It's pretty complex.
Yeah.
Let us know if you are a programmer or
At
if
all
you are
interested in that.
Yeah.
And wanting to do
Otherwise, we won't even
over-unders.
put effort into it.
Right. That would be a lot. of
Until then, because I don't want to have a blank segment that is presented by Neighbors Cafe, we will do some trivia. So I have some questions.
I have not seen these questions.
Yeah, I have some questions for Braden of some interesting things that I looked up, and I've created some lines that we can set. And I try to make the lines not super close, so that it's it's not a 50-50 toss-up or anything. But they're all numerical-based things. So
And
you'll get the gist of it.
Yes. If you remember from the Labs episode, we talked about how physically and mentally exhausted both of us are.
Yeah.
From the past week. So if I look exceedingly dumb, just know that's a step up from my just normal amount of dumb.
Right. Yeah. Also, no shade. I mean, all these are decently hard. So.
Sure.
All right. Question number 1.
I love trivia.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. Question number 1. So, thermal expansion, right? Yeah.
Oh boy.
No, thermal expansion is we can see it when metal is like heated up, right? When objects get hot, they'll actually be bigger, and when objects get cold, specifically metal does this really well. It'll shrink,
Yes.
right?
I understand that concept.
Yeah, you would even know this like for pretty much anything. If you have a wristband on or something, and you're really hot and warm, your wrist is going to be swelled a little bit. It'll be harder to get off. If you're like cold, you just jumped in a pool, there's going to be some shrinkage, and it'll fall off a lot easier.
I know that from wearing a watch at camp.
Yeah. So thermal expansion.
Boom.
All right. Based on our knowledge of thermal expansion, how much taller do you think the Eiffel Tower gets in the summer?
Wow.
So in the summer in Paris, where it is hot, how much taller do you think the Eiffel Tower is than it is in the winter when it's cold?
Okay.
The over-under is set at 4.5 centimeters, which is about 2 inches.
Oh. I would have thought it would be more than that, because that is a lot of metal.
It's a lot of metal.
However, yeah, walking through my thought process, I know that like watch increments and stuff like that, like it doesn't take much for a watch to feel like looser or tighter. But there's a lot of metal in the Eiffel Tower. I mean, it's made of metal, and 2 inches is not much distance. I mean, bop, bop. I'm taking the over.
Braden is taking the over, and you would be correct.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Come on.
The answer is it's about 3 times as much. It's 15 centimeters is how much bigger it is, which is about 6 inches.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 6 inches bigger in the summer.
Okay.
You know.
Now, if you were asking me to set that line, like without knowing the answer,
right,
I would have been. I would have probably said like. I probably would have said like a foot.
Yeah.
Just like, because I know that Eiffel Tower is very big, and thermal expansion is a thing.
Right.
And it probably gets pretty hot in Paris.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, you were right on it.
Yeah.
You were right on it. So.
All right. Cool.
All right.
One correct.
Let's do a history question here.
Okay.
Let's see your time frames of history and see if you can get it right.
Oh boy.
When was the Wright brothers' first flight? All right. The over-under is in 1875. All right. So I will tell you it did not happen in 1875.
Okay.
And for reference, just so you know, the telephone, Alexander Graham Bell made huge strides and invented the telephone in 1875. Do you think the Wright brothers' first flight was over or under 1875?
Okay. I used to know this. I used to know the year. But it is currently eluding me. I do know, I'm pretty sure that this is true, that it was less than 100 years between the Wright brothers' flight and going to the moon. I know that we went to the moon in 1969, so that doesn't help me a whole lot, because it could still be either over or under 1865.
1875.
75. Sorry. So that doesn't help me. I'm pretty sure that that's a thing.
Yeah.
That it was less than 100 years.
I was looking up inventions around this time period. That's why I kind of gave you the telephone. So
When was the telephone again?
What?
When was the telephone?
In 1875.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was more or less, if you want to break it down, do you think the first manned flight in Kitty Hawk was before or after the telephone?
Sure.
If you want to view it like that.
I'm going to go with after. I'm taking the over.
Braden is taking the over.
Yeah.
You would be Correct.
Ooh.
Yeah. It is actually not even close.
Isn't it in the
I was like-
1900s?
1903.
Okay, I thought
Yeah,
so.
28 years later.
Yeah, I thought it was in the early 1900s.
I was like, I think the telephone was pretty cutting edge, and I was like, I feel like the Wright brothers, even though that's super impressive,
Yeah.
like how had we not got something in the air,
Yes.
before
I also
then?
I've heard tell that
Like I thought it was more of like a glider too.
Right.
Like, a glider that could like go like I thought it was like only like 2 miles it flew, like pretty close to the ground, right?
yes. And I've also heard that it was like they took the designs of somebody else and that like
Probably Michelangelo. No.
yeah, or like there was I think I've
Or
heard
Da
that it's,
Vinci.
like,
Yeah.
well, it was taken from like some sort of Indian inventor.
Oh.
I've heard like somebody say that before. I don't know.
The Wright brothers, more like the wrong brothers. More like
They're stealing.
more like that's not Wright brothers.
Yeah, come on, brothers.
Steelers.
So I don't know. Sorry if I'm defaming the Wright brothers. It
Yeah.
totally could be them.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've heard that before that like we credit them with that,
Yeah.
but it was like maybe not
There you
them.
go. 2 for 2. I'm
All right.
Those ones were I feel like the lines were pretty far off.
Yes.
And so we'll see if your luck continues or
Okay.
if your knowledge continues.
Yes.
How many
Because so far I've had like
Yeah.
a frame of reference for both.
Right.
of these things. Yeah.
This one I doubt you'll have a frame of reference
Okay.
for besides cartoon movies.
I know those.
Yeah. How many pleats, right?
Yep.
Folds
Yep.
are in a chef's hat supposed to have?
Ooh.
The over under is set at 75 and a half.
Oof. I've heard this number before.
Right.
What number it's supposed to be.
I know, and I've seen it on Ratatouille a million times.
Yes. And I thought that it was in the hundreds. But thinking of the hat that I seen in Ratatouille, I don't think there was
Right.
100.
There was a guy that wore like a floppy chef's hat in Ratatouille as
Yeah.
well. But that was like the short guy that was kind of mean, so I don't trust him to work with my food. Or rats, to be fair, but
Yes. I'm trying to conjure up the number in my head.
okay.
I think it was in the 60s. I'm taking the under. I'm going to
Braden-
say 62.
Braden's taking the under. And you would be incorrect. Ah!
Is it 82?
It is not 82. It is an even number. It's a very nice number.
Okay.
It is 100 pleats.
Oh, okay.
100 pleats.
That's very nice.
Yeah. I'm not even, it's crazy.
I should have gone with my gut and thought it's in the hundreds.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It is 100,
Shoot.
supposedly. And,
Holy hairball.
yeah. I don't know about that one. I'm already getting tired of it.
Yeah, we should stop saying
Yeah.
it this episode.
It's technically supposed to represent the 100 different ways to cook an egg that
Yes.
a professional chef should know,
I knew that.
right? Which is crazy.
Yeah. 100 ways to cook an egg
Next episode, we will read off all 100 ways there are to cook an egg.
and then do them all.
Yeah,
No,
we're
we
going
won't.
to perform all of them. Okay. I think you'll like this one. The world's longest book has how many characters?
Ooh.
Letters.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about
Sure.
how many people
Yeah,
are
yeah.
in the book. How many characters does the longest book have? And I'm like, this is a published book. This is not somebody's like Word document
Yeah.
that they're just typing on. All right. The over-under is set at 10 million characters. All right. I will give you reference
Okay.
for how big this is.
All right.
All of the Lord of the Rings trilogy books, all
Okay.
3 of them
Yes.
together
I know it well.
would have around 2.5 million characters.
Ah.
So it would be 4 times the trilogy. Over or under?
Okay. So my frame of reference here is I listened to all 3 trilogies audiobooks that were recorded by Andy Serkis, the actor who played Smeagol in the movies, in 2021, coinciding with the release of the Rings of Power series. I think it was then. And it was awesome. But each book was about 18 to 20 hours long, so like 60 hours total.
That's long.
So what I'm trying to think of is if it's 5 times the length of that.
4 times.
4 times. That would be 240-hour long book.
Right. This is the longest book in the world we're talking about.
Right. Can I know what book it is?
It is, I believe, a French book.
Okay.
It is called À la recherche du temps perdu. That's my best interpretation of it, and that translates roughly to remembrance of things past.
Okay. I have also tried to read or listen to Les Mis by Alexandre Dumas.
Okay.
Or Dumas,
Sure.
however you say it, who is a French guy. Knowing that it is a French book, and with my knowledge of Les Mis and how much that dude goes on and on and on and on about everything, and you're telling me that the longest book of all time was by a French guy, I believe that it can go on and on. I'm taking the over.
The French.
Oh.
All right. And you would be incorrect. Yeah, unfortunately, I did set the line a little bit close on this one. So I don't blame you necessarily for getting this wrong. The book has 9.6 million characters. Right. So I mean, it's just under by about 500,000 characters,
Right.
but it's still
At the scale of things, it's just under.
that one's pretty relatively close. So
Okay.
so I don't blame you for that one. But
Yeah.
yeah. That is crazy though. That is crazy. But
Yeah.
that's a long book. I would love to see that thing.
I would
You
love
know.
to see it. I don't at all need to attempt to read it.
Oh yeah, and there's no way I'm learning French for that. Yeah. The remembrance of things past. Yeah, I can remember just fine, buddy.
I'm all the way good on that.
All right. The next over-under is how many flavors of Kit Kats does Japan have?
Ooh.
All right.
All right. I'm
And-
ready to hear this line.
The over-under is set at 150 and a half flavors.
I was first going to say I'm slamming the under.
Yeah,
150 is insane.
right.
I am now thinking I've consumed some amount of content of people visiting Japan,
Yeah,
things like that.
right,
What I should do is call my cousin who's currently in Japan,
right.
which is also kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah, bring us some Kit Kat flavors.
Yeah.
So-
I know that it's a thing.
150 and below or 151 and above?
Was there any frame of reference you were going to give me for this?
No, just
That's
that. I mean, you already have a frame of
do.
reference in that there are a lot of flavors in Japan
Yes.
for Kit Kat.
I think I'm still taking the under. I'm now 2-2 as far as getting them right.
Right, yeah.
How many do you have?
I have 6.
Okay.
I have one more after this, which is we should have taken the over under on how many you were going to get right.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, it's an even number, so
Right.
yeah.
I'm taking the under.
Brandon's taking the under. And you would be incorrect. I'm sorry, man. It is 200 flavors. I'm not sure if this is like cataloged. I'm sure they're not all available at the same time.
Yeah.
But there's been 200 flavors. I picked out 2 flavors that just struck me like first.
Mm-hmm.
Baked potato and wasabi.
All right.
They're just making things up over there.
Yeah. I mean, wasabi makes sense.
There's no way that can be good though.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know how could you come up with 200 different flavors of something?
Yeah. I mean, I could do it.
Yeah, but it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That seems like a lot of effort.
Yeah, that's true.
And is it like, official like Kit Kat brand, or is it like?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, they
Isn't that
must
produced by
be
Hershey?
selling them in some sort of capacity. I do believe Kit Kat is a Hershey product.
Huh.
Yeah.
Which we are close by. What we talked about that.
Right. Yeah.
Or was that in episode 4?
Yeah, I don't know
The lost episode.
if we did or if we didn't. Now I'm nervous. We're gonna start talking all of the same things,
Right.
saying all the same things that we said in previous episodes.
Nah, I think we're good.
But yeah, no, we're close by to Hershey Park.
We
so
can talk about that some other time.
sweetest place on earth.
If we haven't already.
All right. So.
That's insane.
Yeah.
200 flavors.
Right. This is the last one that I have for you. Last
Lay
piece of
it
trivia,
on me.
over under. So, it is a fact that Earth's rotation is getting slower, all right?
Yes.
And because I believe it's because of the Cornelius effect. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But because Earth's rotation is slowing.
I knew of this fact. I didn't know anything about Cornelius.
Oh, okay. Yeah, who is Cornelius?
Not me.
Because of the fact that the Earth's rotation is slowing, that means the days are getting longer,
Yes.
right? Because it takes us longer to spin around.
Yes.
How much longer are the days getting every single year? All right?
Uh-huh.
The line is set at half a second each year.
Oh. There's a leap year every 4 years.
Yeah. This doesn't account. I mean, that doesn't help that. That's because Earth's rotation around the sun
Ooh, right.
is there's technically 365.25 days per year.
Yes.
That doesn't have anything to do with us
Right.
spinning on our
Okay.
axis.
Can you repeat the question?
Due to Earth's rotation slowing,
Mm-hmm.
how much longer are the days getting each year?
Right.
And the line is set at half a second per year.
Well, that would affect it at some point.
Yeah, but not every 4 years.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Not enough to change our calendars.
Sure. Half a second.
Yep. Like that.
Yeah.
And that'll be next year. A little extra. A little bit more to look forward to.
Perception of time is funny.
Yeah.
There's a lot of half seconds in a day.
Yeah.
I think I'm taking. This is to see if I go half and half, because right now I'm 3 losses and 2 wins.
Mm-hmm.
This is important. Can I get to par?
Can you get to 50%?
That's tough. That's a tough line. Man. Like we're talking 0.5 seconds.
Yeah. Half a second.
I think I'm taking the under.
All right. So temporarily taking the under. I would just like to say, I just did the quick math on my calculator. That means starting from year 0, right? 0 AD
Yes.
till now.
Mm-hmm.
That would mean the day has gotten longer by about 15 minutes. Does
Oh.
that change anything for you?
15 minutes?
Yeah. A quarter of an hour. A little bit more than a quarter of an hour.
Yeah. Over 2,025 years.
Yeah. Just to give you a frame of reference.
Yeah.
Not saying that to dissuade you or anything.
I think I've heard before it like some amount of million years, or maybe some amount of billion years, the Earth will be done spinning.
Right.
So there's a rate at which we're slowing down.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's got to be a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Unless it's way more than a second a year. But I feel like we would have
Right.
heard about that if it was like an hour a year.
I
I mean,
agree.
we would know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would know.
Days do be feeling longer.
I'm thinking about this too much.
Yeah.
Under. I'm sticking with it.
Brandon's staying with the under. And you would be correct.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Is it like 0.2?
3 for 6. No, it is not even close.
Oh, okay.
It is 1.8 seconds per century.
Oh,
All right.
wow.
So that's 0.018 seconds a year.
All right.
Barely anything at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we don't have much to worry about. We can
No.
keep our calendars the same, I would say, pretty safely.
Yes.
Yeah. Except for the Mayans. Their calendar is done.
Yeah. I'm glad I got that right. I would
Yeah.
feel very silly.
I'm
if I
proud
got
of
that
you.
wrong.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. That was a difficult one. It really makes you think. And it's also funny where I set the lines.
Yes.
That will make you think differently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I said like 3,000 Kit Kat flavors, you'd be
Yeah.
like, maybe
Oh
there
my
is
God.
5,000. I
Right,
don't
right,
even
right,
know.
right.
Like, it makes you think differently. And I think that's part of the game. So
Yeah.
if you
definitely.
want to look up trivia, maybe I'll take a crack at it some other
Sure.
time. So
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I like that segment.
yeah,
I was probably thinking about that too long, and
it's fine. We had good conversations about it.
yeah, for
And
sure.
then it gave time for the viewers to play at home. So
Yeah, definitely.
anyways, all right, let's move on to a new segment if you don't mind. I'm sorry to do this to you, Braden, but my other segment I had planned, it's a lot of back-to-back testing of your knowledge. All right. This really has been an entire school day for you. We went to British literature, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we just did a ton of like trivia in the sciences, the arts.
Yeah.
It was really everything. And now we are going to go to spelling.
Okay.
All right. How do you feel about spelling? How often do you say your words get autocorrected when you're texting people?
Pretty often.
Is it because you're texting fast? And how fast are you driving when you're texting?
I try not to text and drive.
Yeah.
I used to be much worse about that than I
Right.
am now. There's a recent passing of a law in PA about not being able to be on your phone. They can pull you over for being on your phone at all, even at a stop sign.
Right. Okay. Which is good. The amount of people I see like scrolling TikTok on the road is
Insane.
absurd.
Yeah. I would say I have always been a bad speller.
Yeah.
I've never claimed to be a good speller, and I probably never will.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's something I'm really interested in trying to get better at.
Yeah.
So
No, that's fine. And I don't think anybody will make fun of you for some of these words. Some of them are, especially at the end, are legitimate spelling bee words
yeah,
that I looked up from like the National Kids Spelling Bee.
yeah. I'll try not to think about this too much.
Yeah.
Like I'm just gonna go ahead
Exactly.
with my.
We're going to do
gut.
this quick
Yeah.
segment.
Boom. A quick segment
All right.
presented by Neighbors Cafe,
Thank you.
and we're off.
We're off like a dirty shirt.
Yeah.
Can you spell the word for me? Spaghetti. Spaghetti.
See, this one I feel like I should know, but I probably am gonna spell it wrong. Spaghetti. I know there's an H in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Spaghetti. SPAGHTI. Spaghetti.
Correct.
Really?
I knew you had it in you. I knew you had it in you.
Boom.
I was like, that one is a common word, but often gets misspelled. The H, I feel like spaghetti's left behind, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Little silent H in there. Little tricky one.
Yep.
All right.
I was
This
also
one-
completely unsure of one or two T's.
Yeah, yeah. This one, I'm not going to lie. I didn't look up how to spell this one, and I just typed it in, and I did misspell it.
Ah, okay.
So don't feel bad. vulnerability moment. Can you spell the word nauseous?
Ooh.
Nauseous.
I think I have this one. Nauseous.
Yep.
Nauseous. Nauseous. That was incorrect.
No, you got it.
Really?
Yeah.
Boom!
No, I replaced the C for an S, and then I added an O to it at the end.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, not at the end.
Right.
Nauseous-o.
Nauseous.
That's how you spell it in Spanish, though.
Oh, really?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I was fully like,
Yeah,
okay, cool.
yeah. Okay.
I've never been a Spanish speaker, never claimed to be a Spanish speaker.
This one, again, this was just right off the dome words, and I'm like, this is pretty difficult to spell.
Yeah.
And it was because I was looking up cereal things for a later segment.
Mm-hmm.
Leprechaun.
My confidence is way up right now.
Yeah. Well, you've been killing it, so.
All right. Leprechaun. Leprechaun. Leprechaun.
Yeah.
Ooh!
You got it. There's a lot
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it.
There's a lot of like sneaky little letters in there. You know what I mean? I think it's really the H, the leprechaun.
Yes.
You don't know where it goes.
Yep.
Anyway.
That's what I was trying to think of, and I made an educated guess.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I was dragging a little bit on energy.
Yeah.
Coming into this segment.
Oh yeah.
I'm all the way up right now.
You're amped up.
All the way up.
Yeah. All right. This one.
Boom, 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 boom.
I
hit the rollie still with the rollie on.
This one I looked up, and I don't know if I would know how to spell it off the top of my head, but it's a tough word to spell that I think of the words that are tough to spell, you might have memorized this one. But
Okay.
I don't know. Boom, bam, bam, bop, bow. Onomatopoeia.
Oh, no.
Onomatopoeia. Also, I might be slightly butchering that pronunciation, so hopefully that doesn't throw you off.
No, I've heard that word before.
Yeah.
And something inside me, the spelling of this word that I'm trying to conjure up,
Yeah.
there's a T in there somewhere, but I'm not sure.
I'll give you that hint. There is a T in there somewhere. Onomatopoeia. I don't know. I should like get up like a thing to say it on
that's
the
all right.
computer, but
That's how I would say it.
Okay.
Onomatopoeia.
yeah.
I'm just going to go with my gut here.
Yep.
So far, it's been treating me well. O-N-A-M O-A-N-A-M A-N-T-A-P-I-A.
No way.
Really?
Yeah.
Boom!
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Let's go.
There's too many O's in there
Yeah.
for me. I'm like, that's a lot of O-age.
And it's tough to
Onomatopoeia.
know when to say an O and when to say an A.
That is crazy. All right.
I'm on fire.
Yeah. Well, that's enough of the easy ones. The
Crap.
last three are like legitimate. These are words I looked up
Yeah.
from the Spelling Bee book.
Yeah.
And let's see how you do. I actually had to look up the pronunciations for these too. So
Okay.
I will give you the definitions and the regions where they're from.
Okay.
Your next word is Ouagadougou. Ouagadougou. Ouagadougou
Definition, please.
is the capital of Burkina Faso, which is in West Africa.
All right.
All right? So it's a West African country. That's the language of origin. Ouagadougou.
Ouagadougou.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ouagadougou.
Yeah. You could probably sound it out more than you think, but yeah, I mean, the chances of just getting it all would be crazy.
Ouagadougou. W-A-G-A-D-U-G-U.
You got it.
You're joking.
No. Dude, I think I would have put a lot more O's at the end.
Yeah. I was, in my head, I was like, too many O's would be insane.
Yeah.
And I've seen some amount of African words in my life. And I see a lot of U's. I don't see a lot of double O's.
That's true. Yeah, except for the voodoo, but I feel like that's like an well, I don't even think that's African.
Yeah.
I think that's like
I don't know what that is.
that's from Louisiana.
Right.
Like we're the ones putting the O's in there.
Ouagadougou.
Ouagadougou.
Wow.
I wonder if it has a real like I should have looked up if it had a real definition. The first thing I searched, it was like this is the capital of Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
So maybe it does have a real definition. Sorry if you're from there.
Sorry, Africans.
Whoa. Okay. I got 2 more words for you. This is crazy. You're really like making
I'm
up,
on a streak
You're
right
making
now.
up for the other one.
The 3 and 6 on the over-unders.
Yeah. All right. Keldol. Keldol. Keldol is a chemical procedure for determining the amount of nitrogen in a sample. Keldol.
I'm caught in between 2 attempts at spelling this. Can I give 2?
You know what? I'll give you 2 different attempts.
All right. Keldol.
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 All right.
I probably said it like 3 different ways, but
That's all right. This is my 2 attempts. Keldul. Keldul. Or
no. So yeah, that one's not it. But I would say I don't want to throw you off, but I'd say because you're kind of on a hot streak, get a little funky with like maybe 1 letter or something. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe not. I don't want to lead you astray.
I'm just gonna go with my gut of the other.
Yeah.
Keldole.
No.
Okay.
You didn't get that one. And that's all right.
Dang it!
That's all right.
And just like that, I'm out again.
Yeah. Energy plummeting.
No, I'm good. I'm still up.
Yeah. You're up big time.
That was the hottest streak of spelling I've ever had.
And I feel like you're going to hear it. And like this one, you would have just had to chuck a crazy letter in there.
And I would have had to seen probably the word before.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think you've seen this one.
No.
Keldol is spelled KJELDAHL.
Okay.
Yeah. It's got like that ksh, like that kel.
Oh, yeah.
And then the doll is like the, I don't even.
Keldol.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I actually did look this up on YouTube on how to say it. And it was like, I wrote down in my notes, Kel doll, so that I would say it right.
Gotcha.
So that's how you say it. But yeah, crazy that there are little kids out there memorizing these and remembering that there's a KJELDAHL.
That seems like a Swedish word.
Maybe. Yeah.
Or some sort of Nordic country.
Bosnian, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. They often...
There's a lot of consonants right next to each other.
Yeah, it seems like they like to toss in...
We should donate them. So anyways. All right.
Some vowels.
Last one, and then we'll move on to a new segment.
Yes.
Our next segment is also presented by Neighbors Cafe. So...
Awesome.
All right. I might have to try to say this one a couple times. And I'll tell you which one sounds really good. Xyloglyphy. 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 The art or process of carving wood, specifically for artistic or decorative purposes. Xyloglyphy.
All right. Now, I know about xylophones. So I'm going to go off that spelling, which based on your reaction makes me feel like I should, to me saying that.
Maybe.
But I don't know. That's what I was going to go with either way, based on your no matter what your reaction was. So, xyloglyphy. One more time, please.
Xyloglyphy.
Glyphy.
I think I just lisped a little bit. Xyloglyphy.
Okay. Xyloglyphy. Glyphy. All right. X Y L O GLAPHY.
You got it.
Ooh!
That's crazy. Actually, like when you were sounding it out, I was like, that actually didn't sound as hard as I thought it was in my
Yeah.
head. But hey, that is big time.
I mean, I feel like the pronunciation of that word is harder than the spell of it.
Yeah.
And the fact that I know how xylophone is spelled.
Yeah. Yeah.
helped.
Yeah, for sure. I think if you, yeah.
If I hadn't thought of xylophone, I would have got it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Spelled with a Z, probably.
Yeah.
Can
I'm very proud of my performance there.
yeah.
That's like the best spelling I've done in my entire life.
Yeah. I hate to do this to you,
Uh-oh.
but do you mind if I reveal the real segment presented by Neighbors Cafe?
Sure.
It was called Gaslight.
No.
You correctly spelled spaghetti. And yeah, unfortunately that was it. But you were actually super close on xylography. I'm not gonna lie.
All right.
Well, actually, you misspelled. Yeah.
Let me
yeah,
see
right.
the real spellings of this.
Yeah, here you go. I'm gonna edit it and throw them up on screen as you're spelling the other ones. So
Waka dude, I was not close.
yeah, it's all the OUs. Ouagadougou. Oh my gosh. I was
Nuts.
like, you spelled Keldal so wrong that I was like, you're not gonna believe me if I tell you you spelled it correctly.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. I did think it would be very funny for the listeners watching to just like see you misspell words,
Oh.
and then
I was only one letter off on xylography.
I know. Yeah. You put like the A or something here or an O.
Yeah, just an A instead of a Y.
Wow. Yeah. That alone was impressive enough to win the segment for me.
All right. I've
you-
never claimed to be a good speller.
Yeah. You're a winner in my eyes, and
Yeah.
thank you for going through that. I'm sorry to put you through that.
That's all
and I promise it won't make you look dumb.
No.
It's also super hard to spell without seeing it. All right.
Yeah.
Like, if you can write it down, you could be like, oh, that doesn't look right. Erase it and write it again, and you'd probably be more accurate. You know what I mean? For things like nauseous or leprechaun, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it could just be because you're just saying it out loud. It's really hard to keep track of the letters you said. So
Yeah.
I'm honestly impressed, and you killed it on xylography.
I also have never minded not feeling like the smartest person ever.
Yeah. Let people underestimate you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know my role. I'm the big fella. Oftentimes the big fella is not necessarily perceived as the smartest fella around.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with that.
All right.
It takes some pressure off.
Yeah. Hey.
I'm
no.
more of a discerner than a wanderer.
Yeah. And that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, feel free if you ever create a segment, you can
I'll get you back.
you can get me back.
I'll get you back.
You
one of
should
these
do
days.
another Gaslight segment
Yeah.
at some point. I'm going to be a little bit ready
Yes.
for it though, so you got to be really sneaky.
Yeah, it'll probably be down the line somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll get you back.
Yeah, you got me. You give me. That being said, can we move on to a real segment that I have?
We can do that in just a second. I got to point out something real quick. This is super off topic, and we'll take a second. There are one of my favorite things is basketball edits, football edits about sports, where they edit together clips of like people doing cool things in sports, and like sometimes they'll put interviews or like other things on top of it. Recently, before the Eagles Super Bowl, there was a young fella who had the opportunity to ask Jalen Hurts a question during one of his Super Bowl interviews, and he said, "Y'all gonna get y'all lick back." And yeah, and Jalen Hurts said, "That'd be nice. That'd be nice, or that would be nice."
Yeah.
And So when you say, I'll get you back, I'll get my lick back.
Yeah.
One of these times. And then that is a fire edit, by the way.
Yeah.
Go ahead and look that up. If you're into the Eagles and sports edits.
If you get me good down the line, I will make an edit using that and using you and have you be like, hey, you know what? You got me on that one. And then be like, but I'll get my lick back. And then boom, cut to me getting got.
Yeah.
I'll do that for you. You need to remind me though.
If I get you, I'll remind you.
I can't be held accountable if I forget and you forget. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure if this blows up, somebody in the comments will remind me. So.
Or just one of our friends.
Yeah.
Any.
Our friends in the comments.
Yes.
All right.
Hey friends, comment down below.
Neighbors Cafe has been honored to bring us a new segment. Shall we move into it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm astounded with how much content Neighbors Cafe is handing us.
Yeah, a whole lot.
Yeah. Thanks, neighbors.
Yeah. This segment we like to call, it's another vocabulary wonder. It's called Ultracrepidarian. All right?
Oh.
Ultracrepidarian means someone that gives an opinion on something they know nothing about.
Yes.
Right?
Oh,
I feel like that could have been a decent name for our podcast.
Ultracrepidarian?
The Ultracrepidarians.
That's good.
Yeah.
That could be the name of our listeners, the Ultracrepidarians.
Yeah. They just give opinions. That's just calling them so rude. That's really, calling them down.
Never mind.
So, with this segment, I think my intention is that often on this podcast, we will likely give an opinion or two about something we don't know the most about.
Yeah, and then we can just spontaneously say, and this is...
Yeah, Ultracrepidarian moment.
Yeah.
You know? So we might have this from time to time, and we would like your grace as we go through things and that we are uneducated on. We're doing this for fun.
Yeah.
We, by no means, are professionals. We've said that from the beginning.
Uh-huh.
But we like to have a good time, and we like to be educated when we can be.
Yeah.
But we know that will not always be the case. And
we should have a little jingle.
Yeah.
Ready? We'll film it right now. We should choose a key.
Ultracrepidarian. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I liked it. Maybe we should have chosen melody.
Yeah, I know. We had some harmonies in there. We had some melody in there. I think
here you go.
Part of it is we don't know what we're doing even when we're singing. So it sounds bad and we don't care. For this segment.
Yeah.
Typically we do try to be well informed, but for this segment we will not be well informed.
Boom.
So I had offered for you to come with a with a topic for me that I likely know very little or nothing about, and I actually, by the request of my wife, was given a topic that I should give you to talk about because she said, and I quote, "I would love to hear Braden talk about this and give his hot takes."
All right. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Do you want to start? I put you on the spot a lot. I will give you the opportunity if you want me to start with your topic.
Why don't you go ahead and start with my topic this time?
Okay. Yep. So you're going to give me my topic now?
Yes, I am.
All right. So basically, Braden is going to give me a topic. I'm going to have a couple seconds to compose my thoughts and to think, what even the world is he talking about? Mm-hmm. And I will have to speak uninterrupted for 3 minutes and give my opinions on this thing that I likely know nothing about. So, disclaimer for this segment. I will put it at the bottom in case you missed this disclaimer. I don't know what I'm talking about
He
for
has
this.
nothing. He has no idea what he's talking about.
So if I say something or misspeak...
I mean, you do have a frame of reference for the topic that I'm going to bring up.
Try not to hold me accountable.
Yes. So you will get, like, a couple seconds to gather your thoughts.
Yeah.
And then I will start the timer. So, the topic that I would like you to talk about is the life and experiences of Christopher Lee. I know you don't know a lot about this guy because I know you have never seen some movies that he's in.
Did you ask me about him earlier? Is that why you were asking? Oh, no. You were talking about some guy before we started the podcast. Anyways.
Here we go.
Probably a different guy.
Let me know when you're ready.
Sure, I'm ready.
Boom.
I'm a huge fan of Christopher Lee. And let me tell you this. This is a fact. Christopher Lee grew up in a middle to middle lower class suburb in the Chicago area, right? Christopher Lee was adopted into a family and is the half brother of Bruce Lee. And so they would often fight together on different things. They would fight together growing up in their youth, and we know Bruce Lee, manly man, this and that, but he always overshadowed and actually took the credit from Christopher Lee, who I like to call Chris Lee. I mean, that's how we know him, the real fans of him. Actually, we know him as Speckled Thunder, we used to call him. He would get tons of freckles, actually, when he was growing up, being out in the sun too much. But he had learned all of this, and he had done all the training and the same courses as Bruce Lee did, but never got the credit. So Bruce Lee went on to be a famous actor, and actually, people don't know this. He stole the role because they both auditioned for it. He stole the role from Christopher Lee the first time that he did that. Because of that, Christopher Lee went on a pilgrimage, to the country of Zimbabwe. He went there with Zimbabwe, and he lived with the locals. He wanted to be grounded, so he actually spent 3 whole years without wearing any footwear at all. Wow. Yeah. He didn't wear any footwear, and he got stung by bees. There was like wasp hornets that would come up through the ground there, and he got stung by bees so much on the bottom of his feet that he was actually he became immune to a certain kind of poisonous venom. So actually, researchers from Arizona State College, actually, they brought him back to the United States, and he actually developed the cure for intensive wasp anaphylactic shock, right? For people that are allergic to bees. And then now he resides up in northern Maine, and he actually keeps bees on his farm, not ones that are stinging. And he's also appeared in a number of different movies, finally getting the credit that Bruce Lee, his elder brother, stole from him. And that is my 3 minutes on the brief history. And I know I missed a lot of details on Christopher Lee.
Yes.
But I was under time constraints, and I honestly knew nothing about him. So
Yeah.
I
mean, that's pretty obvious from your history there.
Yeah.
If the viewers at home know anything about Christopher Lee, they know that was way off.
Right.
Which is the point of this segment.
Yeah. That just literally felt like me making up a story about somebody.
Right.
I
think maybe the segment can be a little shorter. Maybe not 3 whole minutes.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I was enjoying coming up with a backstory for this guy.
All right. I'll try and go.
Yeah.
I'll try and do a 3 minutes.
Okay.
Maybe we mess around with this segment. We can do a little less.
Yeah. Fair enough.
This
one you will have something to go off of.
Okay.
Like
also,
a small little bit.
Yes. My timer. The noise for my timer being finished is Yoda laughing.
Nice.
If you didn't know what that sound was.
My wife requested.
Hold on.
Okay. Yeah.
We should at some point do a segment like talking about Christopher Lee's life story.
Yeah.
Because it is absolutely insane.
I know. The some of the stories in Zimbabwe are fantastic. Like, you wouldn't even believe it. You would be like, that's not even his story. That's what you would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am actually talking about the real Christopher Lee.
I know. That's funny.
He played, for those of you who don't know, he played Saruman in Lord of the Rings. He also played Count Dooku in Star Wars, and he was like a super famous actor, and he was like a villain in James Bond series, and yeah, and he before he did all that, he was like a spy at one point. He like has recorded heavy metal music and published it.
Wow.
So yeah, insane dude, and we should talk about that at some point.
Yeah, for sure. Braden knows if he gives me like any actor that's not super, super mainstream, like Matt Damon, I will just flounder and just make up a story. So
I also know that you don't know Lord of the Rings stuff.
I was going to guess Lord of the Rings. I thought you were just going to give me Lord of the Rings in general, honestly. Or like
that would have been
a
good.
book from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Because at least I know like Gandalf and whatever else.
Yeah, and you know the name of the story.
Yeah, yeah. But hey, I think that was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we can totally tweak this, the Ultracrepidarian, if we want to. My topic for you that I want you to speak 3 minutes uninterrupted about, requested by my wife, is period products. I want to know like what types, what kinds. Do you have any hot takes? Yeah, I just want to know it all. What is on your mind? I will give you the floor. You can stand on your soapbox and you can talk about period products to your heart's content for 3 minutes.
Oh, good. Can't wait to do that. Surely this won't get me in trouble. All right. Shall I begin? Hold on.
Whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready. Yeah. This is to diversify to our female audience.
Yeah.
I think they'll think this is funny.
All right. Good luck, females. Let's find out if this is funny or not.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, there's basically a bunch of period products. The ones that I'm very familiar with are pads and tampons. I am feeling a little uncomfortable talking about this, and that's okay, because I know now, as a man, and I personally, when I found out about periods, I was very upset. I think that it's super unfair to women that they have to go through that once a month. I've understood, the way I understand it is it can come harder for some women than others, and it is that's why they have many different types of products. So depending on how invasive you want the products to be, you can go different routes. And so that's why you have the different kinds. I've also heard of things called diva cups. Okay. I don't know how much of this is like taboo to say, but yeah. So, yeah, I know that my and counter is gonna skyrocket in this segment, and yeah, they are like. Sorry, I'll get focused again. The different types are very interesting. Another product that you could use when it comes to periods is ibuprofen, because women have period cramps. I've heard that like taking some sort of like pain reliever medicine will help. When it comes to pain relief medicine, I know a little bit about that because I've hurt ankles and like I've gotten hurt in the past. So there's ibuprofen out there. There's Advil. Ibuprofen is one you would take if you want to like it usually lasts about 4 hours, and it does a really great job for those 4 hours, but it doesn't last as long as something like Advil, which would last for 6 hours, but maybe is not quite as strong. I know also that I knew less about period products than I thought I did now that I'm talking about this for 3 minutes straight. And I'm done in 1 second. So that was terrible.
Yeah. I mean, it was funny. It was tough. It was more informed than mine for sure.
Okay.
As far as ultracrepidarian goes.
Actually accuracy. As far as being accurate in what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I just made everything up.
Right.
I mean, you had at least a frame of reference.
So I got super uncomfortable talking about that.
Yeah.
I would say, like, in general, I don't have a problem talking about periods with women. And
when they bring it up.
Yes.
I feel like you kind of got the period pass because my wife specifically requested it.
True.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about really when it comes to it. So
the only things that I will say that I've learned from just being married that I feel like are worth sharing.
Yeah, mention.
Right? Is using organic cotton products. I think is a huge thing. And I've heard from my wife and others that switching to organic cotton and just kind of like, not letting whatever processing they're doing to the other products into your body can significantly lower like the pain and the cramping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It can. It won't for everyone, but I've heard of people that have switched and they've felt significantly better.
I see.
That's one thing. I have heard of the Diva Cup.
Yes.
From my understanding, it's like a reusable tampon.
Yeah.
Like that you can like take out and wash, I think. I have no idea. I
would say that's my understanding of it.
It sounds eco-friendly. It sounds a little bit icky.
Nasty.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm like, ew.
Ew, period.
I've heard of girls that think that's nasty too.
Yes.
But I mean, shout out to you if you're doing it. You're totally saving the environment. There's a
for it.
lot of waste that goes into that.
Yeah.
You're using a lot of products. And that's it's fine because you need to use those products if that's what's happening.
If you're a female.
Yep.
So
but that's all that I feel like is worth sharing.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think that also gives an interesting look into like my psyche as an individual. Like, I've been known to like deal with some anxiety, and when that comes up, my response to anxiety is often avoidance, or that's how it has been historically in my life. So you could see I visibly got pretty anxious there.
yeah.
And immediately started saying lots of and lots of like just talking about not even the thing,
right?
Which was like ibuprofen and Advil, and whatnot.
I feel like that could be that could actually be a growing segment.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe that's something that like therapists or people like use like to help people get over that fear.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Just exposure therapy.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, it's okay to like talk. You're in a safe space.
Right. I would be interested.
Yeah.
We could even just make that segment like a soapbox segment.
Right.
I mean, I've played that game before called there's a game called Soapbox where you just like everybody puts something that they could talk about for 5 minutes straight in the hat, and then like you just pick a random one.
Oh yeah.
And then you have the other person has to talk about it for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to get in the habit of talking without authority.
Yeah.
But I think it's an interesting exercise. Let us know if you want to see more.
Yeah.
And leave us funny topics that are not controversial or not super crazy. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we do one final segment for the final time?
Gotta make it quick.
Presented by Neighbors Cafe. I would like to call this segment Kiss, Marry, or Jim Henson.
Yeah.
And if you don't get the joke,
yeah,
it's because we were talking about the creator of Kermit and who does the voice, and I wasn't sure if he was still alive, and Braden informed me that he had since passed away.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
anyways,
we're using that form of this question because there's other forms of the question that are not quite as family friendly.
Yeah. And
this
can get
style of game.
and can get censored, and
right.
I will say with this segment, our intention is always to have fun and we're not going to use people.
Right.
And we're not going to try to demean or belittle anybody through the segment or talk about people's attractiveness.
Right.
We will mostly use the segment for non-human things, mostly inanimate objects.
Yes.
Because I think it's funny to say, like, this is something I want in my life forever and I want to use on a daily basis. This is something I would like to have sometimes, but not all the time. And this is something I could do without and could never have again, and I would be okay.
Yep.
So it's fun to talk about it like that, but it's fun to use, like, relationship status as the benchmark for those things.
Yes. And
so
that would be kiss, marry, Jim Henson.
Exactly.
Jim Henson, which I don't know if I like using.
I know,
Yeah, because I love Jim Henson.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm not trying to make fun of it. It was just the
No.
joke.
It's just now that we're using Jim Henson's name as something that we're throwing away.
Oh,
sad.
yeah, that is sad.
But
no, I would keep Jim Henson.
Yeah. Jim Henson would be on my Mary.
Yeah, depending what the other options are.
Right.
But for sure.
I do think it's funny to use it like that as a callback to.
Right, yeah.
Muppets.
But we can mix it up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Kiss, marry, Jim Henson. I'll give you one first.
Okay.
This is a classic one. I've heard this one before. I've talked about it before. Kiss, marry, Jim Henson. Waffles, pancakes, French toast.
Ooh-wee. Wow.
I want to hear your answer. I have an answer.
Yep. Let me walk through it real quick.
Yes, I'd love that.
I love breakfast foods. Pretty good. I'm not the biggest breakfast food lover in the world, but I will partake from time to time. Here's my quarrels. Pancakes are awesome. They're easy. They're super accessible. They're tasty, and you can get a decent bit of variety in those. But they're nothing special.
Yeah.
They're nothing to write home about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're often called flapjacks, and it's like that's
Fun
a pretty
name.
That's a pretty flippant term, though. You know what
True.
I mean? Being married to a flapjack feels like, you know what I mean?
Oh.
What are you saying?
I thought you were referencing your marriage. Like
Oh, no.
I forgot that we're doing a game.
Yeah, we're doing.
marriage.
Whoa. Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's a crazy thing to call your wife.
Yeah. No.
On a podcast.
No.
Yeah.
But
Sorry, wife.
I wouldn't want to be married to a flapjack.
Right.
My wife is not a flapjack.
Nope. I would not say that either.
Yeah. Waffles, they feel like they're pretty high maintenance.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to say she for a lot of these things because that is my preference.
Yeah. You swing
just-
that way.
Yeah, just for the people who know. I feel like she is one that's getting, like, manicures, pedicures all the time. There's nothing wrong with that. Not necessarily my style because, I don't know, I like to live a little bit more backwoodsy, if you will. And it feels like waffles are a lot of work, you know, and I feel like often low reward. I will say we make waffles here at the cafe. They're delicious. They're delightful. We make them with teff flour, so they're naturally gluten-free, which is very fun. And we sell a lot of them. So I am a waffle enthusiast because it does make me money in some regard.
Yeah.
We don't sell pancakes here, so I guess that's a knock on pancakes. French toast, I'm going to be honest, I've never been a huge fan of. They're sticky, and they're also a lot of work for what it is. You got to get, like, the eggs out and stuff like that, and, like, there's a process of dipping and dunking and frying, and I always feel like it's not worth the effort. It feels like
arguably
a little
more
bit
high maintenance than the waffle.
I know. It feels like hillbilly, but like hillbilly high maintenance, and I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, what could that possibly mean?
Yeah. So with that being said, I'm very torn, but I think I'm going to have to marry my daily driver. Marry for, you know, it's delicious yet easy. I mean, not in that way, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
And there's a lot of versatility, and I could see myself being with pancakes every single day.
Okay.
You know, very steady.
Yeah.
However, I do work with waffles, so it's tough to have a. I do think I like waffles better.
Okay.
It's like it's that. I was like, it's a good-looking coworker. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And I've put myself in a position where I see this coworker every day,
Yeah.
but I can't have that coworker.
You can't have it every day.
Yeah, I cannot. But I think every once in a while I will put in the work for that high reward.
Sure.
And I think I will have a waffle. So I am kissing the waffle.
Okay.
And yeah,
Marrying the pancake.
I think it's going to be a nice long smooch.
And you know what that means for the French toast.
So that means I am kicking out the French toast.
Jim Hensoning the French
Sayonara.
toast.
I will never see you again.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. That one actually hurts me less than reducing waffle to a kiss. Because I just think I'll be so tempted. But I know that pancake will always be there for me.
Yeah.
And it's not even that much of a downgrade from the waffle.
So my opinion on this is kiss, pancake,
Okay.
marry waffle,
All right.
Jim Henson French toast.
Okay.
Now, I've talked about this question before with friends of mine, and I've met people who are marrying French toast. So we might be in hot water for this, but I'm under the same opinion of you that French toast does not move me.
No.
It never has.
Often easy to get soggy.
Yeah. Now, I like it, but it's like whatever.
Yeah.
It does not move me nearly as much as waffles and pancakes do.
I feel like the only reason I would keep it around is because I'm already kissing French toast, so I feel like my relationship wouldn't change, and then I would just have to cut ties with either the pancake or the waffle.
Yeah.
That would be the only reason I would
Pancake
keep
and waffle
French
are so
toast
similar.
around. Yeah. Right, which makes me want to diversify and get rid of one.
Yeah.
But I just can't.
Right. I can't put French toast over either of those.
Yeah.
So I'm marrying waffle because my mom made me lots of waffles growing up. It was a thing for us. She was great at it. I try to make waffles these days, and they're never as good as the ones she used to make me. And I do love a pancake. I love a pancake cooked over the fryer at camp on the griddle there. It's a lot of fun. Waffles just move me more, and they always will. I love a good square inside of a circle.
Yeah.
You can cut them into strips. You can cut them into fourths. You can cut them into pizzas.
Right.
Like a pizza into eighths.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's always going to be waffle for me. And, I think that's all the time we have.
That is all the time we have. And, I will say, waffle, I'll see you around. But pancake, you're
coming home with me.
You're my true love. So
waffle, you're coming home with me.
Yeah.
Pancake, I'll see you around. French toast, I won't see you around.
I mean, I'm not gonna kiss waffle if you're married to her.
Yeah.
All right, fine. I'll kill the waffle and I'll take the French toast.
Wow.
No.
A last minute switch up?
No, I'm just
You're
kidding.
just joking.
Yep.
Joshing.
Yep.
Fooling.
We're not
Goofing.
gonna take waffles off the menu, so I have to.
Yeah,
I
you
have
got
to
to keep
at least
them around.
be associated with them
Yeah.
in some degree, but I'll keep it professional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Well,
All right.
this was a long episode.
Another long one.
Edited this time by Nolan.
Hey.
So let us know if you like that better.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We'll try to split it up.
Yeah, and we'll probably do it based on how much time both of us have.
Yep.
Let us know what you think of these segments. We would love some more engagement on this episode to really try and feel out how we want this thing to go. And we have another segment that we didn't get to today that we think is going to be a banger. At a not spoiler, but a
Teaser.
Teaser. Brackets.
Yep.
That's
Serial
all we'll say. Oh,
character brackets.
okay.
Yep.
That's
we
a
teased
full-
it in like the first episode.
That's true. Yeah.
So I have created the serial character bracket, and we'll release that and talk about it very soon.
Yes. We love you. Thanks
you.
for listening. I forget what we said to end the last one.
Yeah.
It was nice.
We should come up with another phrase at some point, like, and we're out, like the guy at home plate, or like, and we're out, like the stinky trash.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's broadcasters on that'll be like, they'll say the names of their kids and they'll say, go to bed, which I like as like a sign off.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't have any kids.
Right. We did say last time, put your dirty shirts in the washer.
You know what would be nice? Or I think it was wash your clothes, wash your shirts.
Oh, yeah.
That would be nice. Or smell you later because
Oh.
they're dirty.
Get dirty shirts.
Yeah.
All right, we'll
Whatever.
try. We did wash your shirts last time. We'll try
Smell you
smell
later.
you later. Good boy. Have you seen that trend?
Yeah. Not a fan of that.
Bloopers. All right. Us just like the little mics in it.
Yeah.
Uh.
I mean, I would say it's an average size mic.
That's true. Yeah. I mean,
All right. Blooper reel.
uncircumcised microphone.
I knew exactly where you were going with that as soon as you started yanking
Yeah.
on that.
Should we do bloopers of every
No.
episode? This can be in like the extra credit
Yeah.
cuts.
At the end of the 20 episodes.
Yeah. Hey, I'm editing this one. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll just throw it in.
Hey, it's up to you. If you want that out there, my mom has been watching the episodes. So keep that in mind.
Hi, Mrs. No, just, you didn't want your last name in there.
Right. I don't know.
I don't know your mom's first name.
She actually goes by her middle name.
Oh, fun. My mom doesn't have a middle name.
Fun. My grandpa doesn't either. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Middle names are fun.
Yeah. Anyways.
That chunk can be put at the end.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude's staring in the window right now.
the dude taking a picture.
Yeah.